here from FlyQuest as well. You know, they either take that or give it away, saying we'll give Huni something, and then we'll play against the bot lane. And maybe Turtle and Wadid said bot lane felt great overall. Doesn't seem like they're playing too aggressive. Maybe give them one of those champions to take the GP.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. You know, grabbing that first pick Rakan, Xayah had been very big for Clutch, so I do like it as a takeaway. You do still have to be worried though about the Leona, right? So you could actually go Leona and Xayah right here, deny the Xayah combo, and have the support answer into that. So that certainly could be a pretty strong response from Vulcan. He has shown the ability to play that champion and the confidence to bring out some of these melee champion counter picks. So would be excited to see if that is going to be the case. And with Morgana banned, you know, I think that is also partially what prompted FlyQuest to take this, because Morgana is seen as one of those counters to the Rakan. So I think, you know, FlyQuest felt Clutch is trying to set up for an early 1-2 on Xayah, so we're going to take it away. But Leona comes through, and I think that, you know, Clutch may have outsmarted FlyQuest a little bit thus far in the draft.
Figuring out that favorite engage for Vulcan to come through. The damage is brought over to the other side, though. Kaisa, as we heard the analyst desk, favoring the damage there over that Jinx pick, which still seemed to work a bit for the FlyQuest squad up until the end. Aatrox as well picked up for Viper. He's a fighter. He's going to be on these champions, and he always looks pretty good on them.
Yeah, he certainly does. And, you know, we're going to have to see, you know, if they want to have parity thus far in the draft, if they want to grab their top laner now. But Sejuani is open. Looks like they will grab it. And I think that, you know, Clutch has had a very, very powerful first round here in the draft. I think the Morgana pick, or rather Morgana ban, to kind of allude to the fact that you might want Rakan. It's going to force that from getting picked. They have bot lane prio with this 2v2. They have really kind of that S-tier jungler as well. Would not be surprised if they banned out Trundle here. We are seeing some players be comfortable playing Sejuani into Trundle and then just kind of skipping Aftershock and going in a different direction. But, you know, even without that Aftershock, you are still building pure tank and can be kind of preyed upon in the late game as a result. So I do think Trundle could be a pretty intelligent final ban here for Clutch. And FlyQuest looking like they want to focus in on what they believe Damonte could be looking towards.
See Artemis on the screen, chatting with everyone, trying to figure out the last few seconds here. And it's going to be the Sylas. I actually almost brought that up, considering we haven't seen him too much, but he has fit in to a few of the series we saw recently in the recent weeks. But not today. Santorin won't be taking out the jungle. It also only has one play for Santorin, so it might actually even be Pobelters if it were to go by.
Yeah, only one play for Pobelter, one play for Santorin. So both of them really haven't had high priority on it. But there are some pretty good ults to actually steal already, so that is kind of what they're taking into consideration here. Sejuani ultimate, Leona in particular, are very, very strong. Xayah is so-so because you don't actually have the
doing your
ball.
own thing.
Like, you can't actually pull it back in.
Yeah, jumping.
But that does mean Trundle is available. So, you know, Santorin could go towards a Trundle if they want to look more
and then you flash first and you're like, I'm gonna walk away now. No, I'm just kidding. These guys don't make those mistakes. We will see now the coach is shaking hands and leaving the players with those last few words as we head here into game 2. Clutch Gaming looking to keep the consistency going with the victory that they did find, but maybe in a little bit cleaner of fashion. Great job by FlyQuest to keep themselves in that, keep the series going. I cannot wait to see what happens throughout this entire series.
Yeah, it definitely has been a very close one thus far. Clutch coming in as the heavy favorites. We'll see if they can pull away at all here in game number 2, push us to match point, or if FlyQuest is going to even us right back up.
I'm excited. We're almost onto the Rift. Rivington third and Azael bringing this one to you as we open up, and it's beautiful. Well lit and ready to be rifted. Players are out into their lanes. Let's see what happens for this next game here. Pretty orthodox buys all around. Looks good. Coin for Relic there. So Wadid just looking to pick up some gold in the bottom, be able to get out wards nice and quick as Vulcan gets that sustain back on to Cody Sun. We have a quick sideline with Abali May and Clutch Gaming.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Coach ThinkCard. That was an incredibly close and super long game. So as a coach, how satisfied were you with the team's performance?
It's definitely nice to win for the confidence boost, but I don't think we played too well that game. We didn't play to our conditions, but we did kind of see FlyQuest's strengths. So for the next few games, I think we did see a lot of what FlyQuest is going to play.
So coming into this weekend, FlyQuest was definitely an unknown. People weren't quite sure what they had to prepare for. But speaking with you guys before the game started, you said that after game 1, you'd have a better read. So now, do you think you have them figured out?
They might have some more things hidden away, but we do think that they have a very specific play style. And we think that if we just play to our conditions once again, then it's on us. If we play well, we'll win.
Well, thank you and best of luck. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Avali and ThinkCard. Always great to hear from the coaches on kind of what's going on in the minds of the players between the games and then heading back in and knowing that they feel confident, but understanding there was a bit of a flub in game 1. It's always good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming into this series as Clutch. You don't know what FlyQuest is going to play. You know, they haven't played a stage game for like over a month, right? So they could be coming out with something really crazy. You know, certainly feeling like you have a bit more of a handle on the fact once it's been Azir and Corki, once it has been 2 kind of scaling bot marksmen there for Turtle.
Right.
We're very likely feeling, all right, okay, I get it. You're going to go try to look for late game. You're going to try to kind of hold on here. And we'll see if they're going to be able to do that very well. Something certainly worth noting is that Turtle is running the cleanse, as he's likely going to need that. There's so much CC, both from the Leona, the Feather Call, the Sejuani ultimate stuns from Renekton, so he cannot actually run teleport. So it will be Clutch that has TP advantage down here on the bottom side with their marksmen. So they're going to look very likely to push in this lane and try to maintain tempo with a teleport to try to get a CS advantage or at least a pressure advantage.
Be awesome to see those intricacies and how Turtle plays around it, knowing you can't just get hit out of lane to teleport back if you're going to miss those minions. Huni keeping it pretty safe here at this spot to farm. No real chance of him getting ganked, and Viper can just keep that farm up as well. Kind of a flip of what we saw game 1 with Gangplank pushing in the Aatrox, but Viper will have a little bit better of a time here. Just not as much kill potential, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, you know, a little bit of a better time with the early wave clear here, perhaps. But you do have to be very careful because what Huni is kind of setting up is the wave is going to push towards Huni, and Huni can then threaten an all-in if you're getting extended too far up. The gank is actually coming, right? So when the wave is pushing against you like that and you don't know where the jungler is, it can sometimes become very, very difficult to actually navigate how you're going to farm this one out. So, you know, Huni's certainly trying to put that pressure on Viper just through the implied threat of the jungler. Thankfully, they had that ward, and Sejuani was spotted out.
Oh. See, minions like that just walk up and suicide into the turret. For pro players, they always say, I'm like, I'm 100 health, but I'm just outside minion range, or turret range, don't worry. God, I love how they do it. It's awesome to watch. Also watching Huni kind of farm with GP early game last time, auto-attacking the back minions, putting the barrels down. Talked about that a bit before with how they get their CS. Here, they almost get the first blood on the bot side as Wadid goes in level 2s and 3s around, mean a bit of an engage. Yeah,
and you'll note that they held onto the Ignite. So they didn't think that they were going to have enough damage for the kill there. They are just, again, trying to pressure the lane, trying to force out these resources. That is going to be both of the potions down for Wadid. It is going to be, you know, Cody Sun able to kind of shove in here. And then potentially, you know, if you have Wadid low enough, you can look for, you know, maybe that kind of 100-0 play on the next time around.
Santorin flying through his jungle at this point. We saw a bit of a gank from Lira that put him behind, so he's still roaming around. Scuttle grab already on that bot side was pinged out by FlyQuest. So they have an idea of where Lira is going to be hovering. Grab this Spire and give himself a little bit more resource.
Yeah, both junglers are going to end up with that kind of inevitable 6-camp clear here. Santorin will be first to kind of get the reset as he was pretty quick on that first clear through, as you're talking about. You know, went back after 3 camps before the Predator boots, gets back out on the map. Pretty standard stuff there for the Skarner, whereas Sejuani went for the gank, went to try to put on a little bit of pressure and is going to take a later base as a result. But both junglers are going to be feeling pretty comfortable with where we're sitting right now.
And back to mid. We saw a little bit of action first game here onto Damonte. They got his flash blown right early, but that was Santorin on the Sejuani to make it happen. Now that's going to be Lira here for game 2. Pobelter, though, on the Corki, feel like he'll be always able to provide the damage he was looking to provide in the such chaotic fights that were moving around last game on this Corki.
Definitely the case. And interesting to actually note here that we see, a Targon's rush on Leona. Now, this is something you see quite a bit in solo queue, but not much in competitive play, actually. You almost always will see boots first for these players who want to be able to actually look to threaten the roam. Now, what this is signifying to me with both these supports actually upgrading support items is that they don't really see mid lane as super assailable. They feel like this is going to be more of a 2v2 focused lane, so the additional stats and gold generation is going to be more valuable. Getting that Sight Zone out earlier is going to be more valuable than the ability to actually get out on the map and roam. So, these guys aren't expecting the action to be elsewhere on the map as much.
Yep, they are clipped right now of about 230 stacked up on that relic quest, so they're on their way. You can see 2 stacks there used, or for Vulcan to use, but he's going to wait for the big cash in as it moves forward. No real aggression to start off. We saw a bit of a back and forth as Wadid went in for a quick dive and then back out to WildTurtle for safety here, but it's still waiting for that first engage, that first hit for first blood.
Yeah, and I think, if you were to look for somewhere where it could happen, I think it's likely going to be around that top lane, with Lira, with Huni. That is certainly somewhere that they would love to target. Executioner's Rush again here for Huni. 2 games in a row, going to be going for that early on here against the Aatrox. So trying to have a little bit more of that 1v1 dominance and looking to try to force around there. So we'll see if Lira does want to try to get up to that top side and if they can get an advantage in that area, because for now they have pushing top, they have pushing mid, and they're actually going to roam over and try to take this red buff away, utilizing those crushing lanes. So Lira is going to be able to take the red buff here and, as a result, get a nice little advantage for himself, and he's almost 6 now.
Yeah. This is nice. Damonte saying, I'm 6. Let's flex some muscles in the jungle. They definitely can't stop us on this bot lane push, as you were saying. A little bit of love towards that top side as they're playing with pink wards. Huni's trying to get that damage down, but gets pushed out of the situation. He's got a ward just behind him as well, nicely placed by the top lane that's giving them a bit of information when they need it.
Yeah, Huni was actually working on the scuttle there. Santorin did just come over and smite it away, which is always pretty annoying as you're working away on that.
Fun
but
times.
It will be clutch, taking the dragon. They knew they had bottom side pressure. They knew they pushed Santorin out towards the top side of the map as they actually stole that red buff away. So, instead of going back to his own jungle, Lira just goes over the wall, takes that dragon down for themselves, and it will be that early mountain dragon, which could pay dividends later on.
2 minutes till we get that Rift Herald up. Have to see if FlyQuest will once again respond. Give me kind of a level 6 rundown of where you put the power for these teams. Clutch hits 6 and kind of breaks the lane, so they want to fight right away, or is FlyQuest more in the seat there?
I think Clutch actually has, a much better level 6 when you're looking kind of across the map here. When you're looking at Syndra, as well as, Sejuani, those ultimates I think are kind of easier to get a lot out of in those sort of situations. Xayah also, I think, is more effective right at 6 compared to someone like the Kaisa. Kaisa needs a lot more items generally to get going, whereas Xayah, in early game can almost kind of effectively function as like a spellcaster, just utilizing a lot of damage from the abilities and less damage kind of from those auto attacks. So I certainly do favor Clutch at level 6 if it were to be that kind of 5v5 brawl.
See FlyQuest try to avoid that. You get Pobelter big and in a side lane, you can really start to pull this Clutch composition thin. They can't really get that death ball going. Huni's doing still good on the top side, 79 to 64. We saw a discrepancy in CS there, but that's a big wave for Viper to pick up anyway, so he's not too far behind.
No, not at all. He's keeping it fairly close there. Huni can be happy with the pressure they have up on this top side, though, and
good eyes.
And then it's going to be up to Lira to try to get something done with that. They get that ward onto Santorin, will be cleared out by this pink, but still, they know now where he is You can see Wadid moving up
movement
towards this top side and trying to kind of get vision down and perhaps preempt potential Rift Herald here, you know, getting that early ward down. And if you can get any sort of kill or vision there, when Clutch actually goes over to it, you can be prepared. But everyone already converging on this. You can see that Leona has moved up, Rakan has moved up. Both junglers are in the area here as well. And it's actually FlyQuest making the move first, perhaps anticipating that Cody Sun would have been coming up. You could actually see, if you look at the minimap here, you actually saw Turtle was running straight up mid lane, realizes that Xayah's on the wave, so now Turtle is going to run right back down there. So they were actually assuming that Clutch was going to start this up right at 10 on the button and tried to be in position very early. Because we talked about last game how, yes, they won the fight, but if they had been there like 30 seconds earlier, they could have taken the Rift Herald and won the fight even more decisively. So they were trying to make that adjustment, and credit to FlyQuest for looking for it.
Seems like it may still be done here as Clutch Gaming gets onto it. Santorin is there, but it's going to be tough to get in.
Remember, though, Cody Sun has TP, Turtle does not. So I don't think this is a fight that FlyQuest can actually even commit to. If you try to go in, and you know, you look at this, Cody Sun is actually backed off on the wave. So, you know, Cody Sun's sitting back here, you know, waiting for a teleport. That is not because he's scared of the 1v1. That is to say, you don't get to take this fight. If you take that fight, I TP and it's 5v4, you lose, right? So this is just really well set up, honestly, by FlyQuest. Rather by Clutch here against FlyQuest. They kind of feign the early Rift Herald, wait till Turtle shows bot, draw him down, and have their teleport available. So kind of checkmated there by the positioning, and I'm really impressed with how they actually navigated this in game 2.
Yep, a composition that can really be strong at that 10-minute mark. You have explosive ultimates no matter what from level 6. You really are able to push the other team off. Clutch Gaming, again, put themselves just a little bit ahead in this game by grabbing the Rift Herald. And that aspect of the game is something I love seeing from teams, and it's tough to have teams in a competitive mode do it. You don't want to be the one to make a mistake for the simple fact that you fall behind. But it's also just a simple thing to be like, hey, we're doing it at 10 minutes. It puts such a strain on the game that I love seeing teams do that and figure out a way around it.
Yeah, especially when you're actually drafting towards it and setting up appropriately.
For sure.
You know, I do think that, you know, there is going to come a time where Clutch is going to go for their 10-minute rift and it's not going to work, right? Because they've done it so many times, teams should be preparing for it. But in this game, they were better set up, and now Clutch looking potentially to have this 3-3 on the bot side. Both junglers are actually hovering their lanes. If either side engages, they could go for it. But Lira is here. Looks like he wants to try to make something happen, then potentially look to drop that Rift, or to try to get a kill and then go to the Dragon, which is actually coming up in 30 seconds. But Santorin's in the area as well.
A little bit of a roam down from Damonte. I think he's going to have the river inside. We don't have eyes on Pobelter, but he went down towards Raptors. No, he's still in mid. It doesn't look like they're going to activate on this one just yet, but Damonte was there if the fight happened.
Yeah, I think, again, you know, very well done by Clutch. They know they have mid lane priority, continue to threaten Damonte coming down. They now have vision control in this whole area, really. You know, and it's this kind of whole quadrant here. All along there, there's no forward vision really coming out until that pink ward just got dropped over the wall by Santorin. But you can continue to just shove this out, threaten to start up that dragon, and make sure that you're the ones kind of picking the fight on your own terms.
Wadid and Turtle seem to be playing a little bit farther up on that wave, noticed by Cody Sun and Vulcan. Everybody was standing behind as the waves reset before, so trying to set a precedence there and then falsify that precedence to get the other team in a bad position. I like it. I like it. You gotta play the mind games all the time. Board clearing out, packages out for Pobelter now. Could be a play made, but it's Santorin trying to get out of this one. All the crowd control rains down onto the Skarner, but he might stay alive. Big plays there. Viper now coming over the wall. He's going to throw on the World Ender as the top side of the fight is bottom side of the fight still going on. Lira is getting shot up by Pobelter. He's going to pick up first blood of the game. Second one looks like it could be Cody Sun. Viper's in a 3v1, and he takes down Vulcan. And now Cody Sun and Damonte have to run. What a fight from FlyQuest at 13 minutes.
Yeah, FlyQuest completely outfought Clutch there. You know, burning so many resources on this tank jungler, not even being able to take him down, and then Huni just short on the damage to actually knock down Turtle. Meanwhile, you know, Viper and Pobelter are just getting ignored and running amok in this fight.
See it again, right here.
Yeah, here this is one more time. The TP from Huni is actually pretty far away from the fight. He's trying to come in on the flank. You can see Leona, everything actually committed onto Santorin. It was a great counter engage from Wadid as they all piled in onto Santorin. He's actually able to charm them up, and then look at Huni. One auto attack short from taking down Turtle, but all this time, Pobelter and Viper had been ignored and were just firing away here, knocking down multiple members. So they will grab the Dragon, they will grab 2 kills, and FlyQuest starting out pretty hot in game 2, as they did in game number 1. You know, it was the Jinx getting 2 early kills in game number 1. This time it's going to be Pobelter on his Corki.
Yeah, very, very big. I'm sure he would have loved that on the Azir last time, but now he can deliver the damage. We were saying if he can get to the side lane, or however they want to composition it down to the Nexus, but having that split push would be amazing, and he's getting the lead to do so.
And the other thing you have to mention is off the back of that lost fight, you know, they actually couldn't get the Rift Herald out in time. Pre-14 minutes. So yeah, they get their charge down top, great, but you know, just a little bit of chip damage. They didn't actually cash in any gold off that, so they're moved to the top side for the 10-minute Rift gets punished off that. They lose the Dragon, they lose the kills, and Clutch certainly going to be feeling pretty bad about how that fight did end up.
Absolutely. I guess there's 2 ways you can create chaos in the team trying to get that early Herald. You either stop them from doing it and snuff out the eye from being grabbed, or you just cause so much chaos in the 4 minutes after they get it, they can't use it in time. Still a great hold, though.
Yeah, definitely really well done. And either way, as you say, if you kind of have the first move, if you are prepared, then you can kind of just stop them from really getting value out of it. And the Rift Herald inherently doesn't have like a tremendous amount of value. It's like 100 gold, I guess, when you kill it. So, you know, not bad. And maybe they'll cash in on that turret later on.
Right.
First turret is still up for grabs, which would kind of even out the gold there if they're able to do it.
Oof. Just kind of like trade in medicine there. How'd that feel? Well, it felt good. How about this? I like it. They're testing the damage as they come back. Triforce finished, and so is the Ludens. That's going to be the add-on of extra damage, and the CC layering on top of itself is going to allow Pobelter now to get out of this situation. I think Lira's ult was actually just a bit short.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it hit or not. It looks like it hit to me. We'll have to see on the replay, but the Hex Shrinker just coming in big. And they actually decided to go for that because he Valkyried aggressively onto Damonte to actually start out that previous trade. So they say, all right, let's just kill him. But, you know, didn't even force the flash.
Yeah.
He just calmly walks away. You know, fairly tanky with the early health from that Triforce, as well as the Hex Shrinker. Now Turtle, ooh, swing and a miss.
Could have gone into overdrive as well, get himself some distance if he needed to. Knowing that Zenith's Blade is down, now FlyQuest feels a bit more comfortable to be in the face of this Leona. Solar Flare as well is down, so they can't get the ultimate out, and this could be a turret going down the top side for that first brick. It's protected in the bot by Viper, so a great job by FlyQuest. Mobilize around the map again, trying to give that solo cold to Turtle.
Yeah, and able to do so as, you know, here's this play one more time. So I do think everything hit. We'll watch it though. There is the Leona ultimate that connects. In comes the scatter. There's the Zenith Blade, then the stun. The Leona, or rather, yeah, everything did actually connect. He didn't have Ignite quite up, unfortunately for them, so just didn't have enough damage to actually knock down Pobelter, despite the fact that was a great CC chain. Just short on the damage, and Pobelter gonna be pretty thankful he got those early couple kills for the extra gold.
It makes a difference. Oh boy, this makes a difference too. Walking right into the brush. They didn't even know Clutch was going to be this far on the side of FlyQuest jungle, but FlyQuest again thwart the kills right away, and now they're able to add the damage. That's going to be 2 down as Lira and Vulcan fall immediately. Huni still can't pick up a kill. Another sliver of health, just getting away from him.
Yeah, Clutch are just committing on these fights. You know, this is twice. The fight around the Dragon, now this fight around the red buff. Both times to Santorin. He's a very tanky member. They're committing all their damage onto him and just falling short. Not able to actually burst him down, so everything actually going straight into him. Mind you, they don't have any of their main damage dealers here. Cody Sun is not there, Damonte is not there, so Santorin walks out. The damage has pretty much all been expended. By the time Cody Sun arrives, he's like, nope, never mind, just walks right back out because the fight is already lost, and Pobelter, adding insult to injury there, will barely survive. Picks up a couple more kills now, and this Corki is going to be so fed.
A lot of pain. Props there to Wadid for putting out the quickness to save Santorin and get him into a safe spot and buying enough time for the rest of the team to pick up now this 5-0, sub 20 minutes against Clutch Gaming.
I mean, that's twice. His counter engage has been great, right? When you engage hard onto a tank, you're spending all your CC on him. Then it opens up for Wadid to actually go in, right? You know, the whole point of the Leona is kind of blocking down the Rakan and bursting down the Rakan. That is why this is considered a good matchup. But when Wadid is in a position where he can actually wait for all the CC and spells to be expended on someone else, his counter engage is going to be uninterrupted, right? he's going to get in there. He's going to CC everyone up and buy time for Santorin to then retreat. And once that's happened, you've expended all your resources to just deal damage to a tank. The damage dealers are going to go crazy on FlyQuest.
And look at the way it's manifested for FlyQuest as well. A 0-0-5 for Wadid, Pobelter's 4-0-1, and Santorin is 0-0-5. It's been a 3-man team making this happen. All of them have 100% kill participation, so super mobile this game, and FlyQuest did not let game 1 deter them at all.
No, not at all. I mean, it is pretty impressive to just see FlyQuest actually kind of taking on these fights that Clutch is putting forth, being able to answer them, being able to respond very, very effectively. Really almost all those kills were just those 2 team fights that Clutch opted into. Clutch is the one initiating, and FlyQuest, more than equal to the test both times. They're certainly Clutch not really, I think, giving the respect over to the fact that they didn't have either of their damage dealers, right? Cody Sun is not there, Xayah TP, Damonte was not there. They didn't know where FlyQuest was, so you're engaging onto the tank without knowing that everyone could be behind him.
It was a completely blind mission. They went in, obviously, with the biggest people up front in Lira and Vulcan, but having no vision on FlyQuest. Also, they're kind of not considering that FlyQuest is playing great right now.
Yeah.
They're able to take these kind of instant situations.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I mean, had Cody Sun and Damonte been there from the initiation, then Santorin just dies instantly. Different story. But that wasn't the spot that they were in, and Clutch getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar will be punished.
That's no good. They hope they got out with a lot, though. Charmed. Vulcan should be able to get out of this one. Again, deterred from the kill. A shot into the minion line, but he finds it. Another missile. And he's able to fire it out to get that kill onto Vulcan. Now, Cody Sun stands alone once again at the turret. The team's going to have to start to converge from both sides. Damonte's still on the bot side. He's low on mana, so he's looking to just kind of farm out there and then back to provide help.
I mean, this is potentially just a second turret straight up. They take both the mid lane towers there. FlyQuest out to a huge lead early on here, closing in on a 5K gold lead at 21 minutes. Viper pushing in the side. That pick allows them to get full control over the mid lane, and FlyQuest is looking great here in game number 2. And Pobelter is going to be on these items very quick.
If you can take a 50-minute game and turn it into a sub-30-minute game, I think that pace makes any team's brain rattle for a little bit here, since you're expecting to go late. Thinkard even said, this is what we are going to get out of FlyQuest. After seeing game 1, we expect more of it.
Yeah, definitely the case. And it just hasn't been the story, so far in this game. And you talked about it earlier on. Corki in a side lane, very, very effective once you start getting these items under your belt. Pobelter going a couple different directions, honestly, right now. Has a Hex Drinker, has a DF, has a Seal. I'm guessing he will just go back and actually finish up a Rapid Fire here pretty shortly, as he does have the money for it, and then work towards an IE. But a lot of players do also really like the Essence Reaver build for the additional poke and CDR. That can kind of make you more of a less consistent damage, I guess, but more of kind of that poke style build.
Santorin now at the Righteous Glory. Gonna get in there, try to go fast before that window of Quicksilver stashes is able to get into the inventories of Clutch Gaming. It becomes much harder. We actually saw FlyQuest foregoing the Quicksilvers for the high damage items last game before they put that Quicksilver in 4 or third item as a full build, but we'll see how Clutch Gaming responds.
And I mean, it's even tougher this time around for Clutch, because when you are behind, and then you have to kind of stop for these luxury items, you fall so far behind the curve, right? You're looking over, you're seeing Cody Sun here, he's on his 2 items. Turtle's on 3. You don't want to have to stop for a QSS.
Azael, this could be bad. Scatter the weak back and a flash. Teleport coming in. He's not going to try to Valkyrie forward. He gives it up on that. Doesn't know what else is in the brush ahead of him, but what a fight. And Pobelter is putting the pressure on Damonte.
Yeah, it certainly is. Gets both of the sums out there from Damonte. And the reason Pobelter doesn't chase, he doesn't know if Damonte has his ultimate there. Damonte's ultimate is on cooldown. So once you get hit by that chunk, if you then just try to flash it in the brush after, straight into an ultimate, you may just flop over and you'd be looking pretty stupid giving over that bounty.
But how cool are you if it worked? No,
you're pretty cool. You're pretty cool.
Spirit Sojourn up for Huni. Yeah, risk reward indeed. See if Huni can start to open up in these fights with his ultimate down. They really haven't been long enough, as it was for Clutch Gaming before, for the rest of the team to get there. Before, the fights were chaotic. They spread out across river, down to blue buff, and then back to river from what we saw. Here, it's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And FlyQuest has been done with their food every time they get in. We need to clear out wards, get as much safety as he can, but FlyQuest still putting things on their plate. They're ready to move to the next objective, and they're not even worried about what Clutch is doing on the other side.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, Turtle's just going to solo this up. Well, Pobelter has the package, so
just hanging out.
He's going to play this pretty bravely. He's got to be careful because if you get CC'd, you can still die.
I thought he was going to catch an ult in the face from Lira there.
Yeah, I think he might have had an idea. He's poking over the wall with the rocket, so maybe knew that he was around there. Either way, second Ocean going their way. It will be a third Ocean spawning, so not the Infernal that they're probably hoping for. But one of the things that I always do kind of like with this sort of a setup is when you have double Ocean plus Mountain, it sets up Baron baits very effectively. You can burst down the Baron a lot faster with the Mountain, but you can also afford to take some of the poke from the Baron by constantly starting it up and threatening that you're on it, and then just regenning that back up with the Ocean. So it allows you to really stay on the map longer and forces Clutch to kind of face check in a situation where maybe it would be detrimental.
Try to play those little mind games. We still have a bit before we get Ocean Drake back up, but that third one would be huge for FlyQuest. They don't have to prioritize it. They can decide it will make them much stronger and go for it, though. Pretty big at 5-0-1. A few of the kills still now going over to Wadid as they pick up that for an assist on him. And we did see Turtle getting his first kill of the game. So keeping things active, pushing forward, knowing there's a lot of wards, but you can see they don't have the safety to yet clear all of these wards. They're waiting for a few more members.
Yeah, and it's going to be about Clutch being able to kind of make a play, right? You know, they are certainly on the back foot here, and I do think that is a very scary position to be in when, you know, you really cannot think that you're going to like just outscale this or kind of win easily in later stages. You know, Corki as well as the Kaisa are going to be extremely threatening, and you know, FlyQuest is in a comfortable position. You can see that Cody Sun is just kind of following after Huni here.
Yeah.
And they just actually want to try to rush for the towers, but pings are going on to the Baron. So FlyQuest will just straight up start this up. I don't know if this is going to work out.
It's going to be a double teleport over if it is going to be. We just see Huni stopping. He's waiting, and now he teleports over. That's going to be the Baron going to FlyQuest. Clutch is going to have to turn now. Turtle goes in on the Killer Instinct, and that's going to be a Glacial Prison back to Pobelter. Stuns up the Corki, but now he gets the safety. Gatling's turned around. Pobelter can't get the right direction here as they take down Viper. And now FlyQuest act a little unaccordingly here as it looked like Clutch Gaming was the one out of position.
Yeah, Clutch was pretty late to the party there. FlyQuest could have just disengaged. Instead, they decide they are going to take the fight anyway. Yeah. It does cost them a kill as well, as you can look across the board. So many summoners used there as they do have to retreat. They could have just straight up walked out, but they felt like they saw the opening to get more. As a result, they will lose one of their Baron buffs in that side lane, which is a fairly big deal.
Still feels good to get Baron.
It still feels very good. And absolutely. We'll see how much gold they can actually get off the map, because there's not a lot of standing towers, really. It's just the one bottom lane tier 2, and then inhibitor towers to actually grab here. So we'll see if FlyQuest feels bold enough to actually try to push for the base.
Minions up top, minions down bottom. Mid wave is the only thing that really needs some help right now. They don't want to prune the side waves just yet, and good forward wards from Clutch Gaming. Cody Sun's going to have to be alone for a little bit as everybody gets the jungle cleared out and ready for this inevitable push from FlyQuest coming in with the Baron. See how they split it up here. Towards the bottom, looks like it's going to get a lot of love with the map objective free. Get away from that Baron, push the bottom side of the map, and start to open it up for later.
Yeah, and they just love to grab that last outer tower here. They know this is the safest one to get. Extend the gold lead here if you can. You know, Pobelter are going to be working away on this. Only trying to do, you know, his best possible job at actually wave clearing this out, but it is very difficult with how fed Pobelter is, and they're actually just marching it down mid as well. Extremely bold.
Viper gets hit, actually dodges the solar flare out as well. A little bit of miscommunication on Vulcan if they were or were not going, as the ultimates do not click together. That's quite a bit of crowd control that would stop FlyQuest from coming in, but FlyQuest says, fine for us now, let Pobelter push bot, draw from mid, and then we're back onto the mid lane turret. Great back and forth, a game of cat and mouse here between the two teams.
Yeah, no one can answer Pobelter, and that's the problem, right? If you have to send multiple members to him, they push up mid. Huni dropping the ultimate, just trying to wave clear here. Pobelter has already knocked down the inhibitor tower. They're going to get the mid one as well. Clutch just looks like they have no answer whatsoever, and you know, with the base cracked, very likely going to be losing 2 inhibitors here at least.
Sometimes that becomes the moment where you're pulling your hair out so much that you have to finally protect the thing you've been defending so long. Clutch keeps that impulse in their pocket. They don't go too hard, but they do lose 2 inhibitors. It's telling us they feel like they can outlast what's going to happen next, but it becomes even harder in that situation. 6-1 here. It's like FlyQuest has not even allowed Clutch to get into this second game.
Yeah, it's been a very slow and methodical game here for FlyQuest, but they have had the answers to Clutch at every turn thus far. Clutch, not even really thinking that they had an opportunity to try to start a fight there. They dropped the ultimate onto Viper, but Viper was not really even close to going down. He's Asterix, he still had the stopwatch, so they weren't even close to having the damage to actually knock him down. And without any sort of answer to Pobelter in the side lane, I fail to see how you're really supposed to actually stop this. You need to have a miracle engage to actually come out and immediately kill someone off, but Pobelter now has even more safety with the package, and supers are going to be coming in really from all sides here. You can see the pings down here. There's the wave coming up the mid lane as well. There's no deep vision really for a potential flank here from Clutch, and it looks like they're pretty close to being checkmated.
Some time to slowly clear out the minions. Just a red buff refresh. Why not? Get everything you can on the way in, because this looks like it could be the final fight. Looking around, see if we got any potions here. Looking on the WildTurtle. It doesn't have an elixir just yet. Just a few of the other upgrades from his teammates. Now a big shot from Pobelter onto the turret with that Sheen proc. Infinity Edge rapid fire onto him so he can get those out from a little bit safer of a range. One super minion alone can almost take a turret down by itself, so it has to be a little bit of prep work done now on the minions coming into the base. Everybody of Clutch Gaming is standing together now. The only one that's really kind of peeled off is going to be Lira, that tries to go back and forth looking for the initiation, but it's going to be a tough one to find.
Yeah, Turtle trying to threaten this Nexus tower now. Clutch does have a little bit of time because the next wave is pretty far off up in that top lane there for Pobelter. So they have bought themselves some time, but the siege never really has to stop. You can see Pobelter just going to walk up, use a rapid fire shot onto that turret. They have double ocean, so it's the engage.
Turtle goes down. That's going to be unleashed power right onto him. Wadid's going to be the next one. He tries to charm his way out, and the quickness is just fast enough to do that. Pobelter's damage on the top lane was slow as there was no wave, and Clutch struck at the perfect time to keep themselves alive.
Yeah, they burst down Turtle there, and they needed something like that. A pick was really their only chance of dissuading this death push here from FlyQuest, and they are going to get it. Damonte is able to find this one. Yeah, does hit the scatter the weak. Full combo coming out there. The ultimate just barely enough to actually complete that burst combo and knock him down. We'll keep their top inhibitor tower alive. We'll get him more time to complete some items here. Death Cap now coming through is very, very big, and you can see Cody Sun's been sitting on 3 items for a little bit at this point. So, there is a little bit of a glimmer of hope now for Clutch, but it's going to be about the Baron, and they have no forward vision whatsoever, so they're going to have to push down mid lane as a unit and then try to get over towards that Baron.
Much more damage has been done to Clutch's base by FlyQuest than what we saw in the first game before a back and forth. But if Clutch is able to take a few more fights in the middle of the map here, this could very much become an even game. This fight's taken here by FlyQuest. They quickly grab up the member of Clutch Gaming. Huni goes down, and that's going to be the rest of the team now getting themselves to safety. Bot lane's got super minions coming in right now. Top lane won't even be worried about it, seems, but FlyQuest will take a bit of a break to make sure they have the Dragon or Baron pressure, and it's coming now.
Yeah, they're just going to go and try to grab this Baron here for themselves. I don't even think Clutch is going to attempt to steal. I think you just try to fix the waves as best as you can, and then pray you can hold on in this. But that was fairly sloppy from Clutch. I mean, you saw your opponents. You essentially just walked straight up and got ulted. It didn't look like there was any real initiation besides just the Santorin ultimate. He didn't have to flash for it, so Huni just certainly not giving the respect over to that engage coming out of the Skarner, and as a result kind of gets caught sleeping. Does just get absolutely burst down.
A little uncharacteristic for him as well. He'll usually be kind of taking that dive, knowing he's going down, but to get caught out is not like him. We'll see if it can be repaired. It definitely sets him back a little bit. He is back onto the rift, and he'll head towards that top side. Viper trying to get in for an inside swing onto the turret, and Clutch is doing everything they can to set up a last-ditch defense on the stairs of their base. The super minion just cresting the bottom inhibitor will make it in and possibly take down Nexus turret number 1. That's going to be another inhibitor going down. Solar Flare misses from Vulcan, and now FlyQuest has a pretty easy walk in. Damonte's the focus. Santorin gets locked up, but they're not going to need him to take down Damonte. Huni could fall next as Vulcan is also low, and that's going to be Clutch just falling left and right. FlyQuest come back on fire for game 2, and we're going to see them at 10-2. Taking on the Nexus turrets now. That's all they have in front of them, and a few members of Clutch that do not look like they can stop the game. It was a fantastic play by FlyQuest to stop the momentum of Clutch, and now we have a series on our hands as we're 35 minutes into this one, and it's going to be FlyQuest trying to put the finishing touches on, and they're playing with the mental of their opponent, making sure it sticks as they go into game 3.
Very well played game 2 here from FlyQuest. Really back and forth, long game number 1.
Yeah.
And game 2 here, FlyQuest really dominant pretty much the whole way through.
And we stayed sides as well.
Yeah, Clutch really wasn't able to get much of anything going, it didn't feel like, in this one. You know, drafting for that Renekton Sejuani combo, you know, one of the most feared 2v2s that people love to talk about, Aurelia Sejuani as well. Nothing really ever happened for them around that top side. Yes, they did get a really well orchestrated Rift Herald, but they botched the team fight at the Dragon, and it felt like after that they kind of had, you know, failed their team fight from a point of power. Pobelter just took over. I mean, Pobelter got so many kills. He got side lane pressure. We saw him forcing out summoners from Damonte in the side lane, and FlyQuest was able to kind of have the run of the map as a result. Yep. You know, always first to set it up the fights, always first to engage, and you know, always the ones coming out on top.
You know, 3 members I mentioned earlier still have huge kill participation, and actually all 11, 1-0 and 11 from Wadid for 100% kill participation. So FlyQuest omnipresent in this game, and it absolutely played to their win. To give their thoughts on game 2, let's send it over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. FlyQuest, they evened it up at 1-1, and I would venture to say that they do it in far more dominant fashion here in Game 2 than Clutch was able to put together their win in the first game of the day.
Yeah, I think if you compared the strength of victories right now, you'd be like, FlyQuest looks pretty good. I mean, it's always sucks when you lose a game by getting outscaled, or like when you were outscaling in game 1, but they look so good in this game when they actually made some very proactive plays to get leads.
Yeah, and the Skarner takeaway is pretty nice for them, considering that Lira is not a player that has liked Sejuani. He hasn't played that much Sejuani. In fact, it was only in the playoffs that he picked up the first Sejuani games. He's all about those predator junglers, and I think that did a lot to hurt Clutch Gaming in this series, because, or at least in this game, because a lot of their early plays relied on Lira doing something, and if he's not fully comfortable on the pick, he's not going to make the play.
It was just an overall kind of weird draft to me, where you have the obvious adaptation by FlyQuest, dropping the GP ban, or excuse me, dropping the Xayah ban to put on the GP ban. They first picked the Rakan, which continues to telegraph to me they don't really have a great answer into it, which is the weirder takeaway, because you know Clutch has an answer in the Leona. Yeah. And so I initially viewing this draft was like, ooh, they kind of got themselves counterpicked in the bot lane here. They could have just taken the Xayah and then had their own answer to the Rakan. There was a Morgana ban, but you haven't really seen that come out of Wadid yet. So I would have hesitated to say, like, okay, show me that ban. We're up a game already. Show me the Morgana before I ban it. And I would have banned out more of Pobelter's champion pool.
Yeah, show me the blue side for Clutch Gaming here, because 2 games for FlyQuest getting away with these 3 bans seems like way too much. You get to ban Qiyana, Rumble, and GP. No other team was able to do that because of the difficulty in sides, yet somehow they can just walk away scot-free with this draft. Something's got to change.
Well, again, once again, it plays into the statistics we were talking about at the top of the day. Now, without those 3 power picks, you add another loss to the column for Clutch Gaming. So the story gets worse in that regard for what would be the 4th champion. What is the 4th answer, you know, for Clutch Gaming in these situations? To your point, Mark, I think it is interesting to continue to track the priority of FlyQuest around that bot lane. And even though it doesn't align with us, clearly they're operating with some amount of information. You know, Game 3, they will have the opportunity to move back to blue side. Will be interesting to see if Clutch decides to take that. Before we get to Game 3, though, I do want to talk about how this win came together for FlyQuest. And a lot of it was about those early kills. And in particular, it was Pobelter coming away with them. But we had asked Santorin and Pobelter to step it up in this series if FlyQuest was going to recapture some of their former glory.
The best thing about this for FlyQuest is that they recognized their power spike. Corki had package. When you're fighting with Corki having package, it's nearly impossible for you to lose a 5v5 because of how quickly he gets to reposition. So he joins in, and they walk away with a really fed Corki.
Yeah, and this is the part of the game where, you know, the comp from Clutch should be at its strongest. You have Renekton, who's great in the early game. You have Syndra, great in the early game, and you're taking fights in the jungle and around the dragon. All that should be a good timing, but they really get out-executed by FlyQuest here, and this has happened in a couple of different fights where this the side of FlyQuest actually outperforms them. It happened in game 1 as well at the WildTurtle and things like that. So I'm actually starting to get nervous as someone who predicted Clutch. I'm like, well, you have these draft problems that, you know, maybe you're still holding back something because you're hoping to get away.
You're hoping to get through without it.
Right, but at the same time, now it's starting to get really sketchy, and FlyQuest is gaining some momentum. They actually look really good in these fights.
Yeah, and we've seen what happens to Clutch Gaming when they kind of get in their own heads, having had that reverse sweep happen against them last week? 2 weeks?
Last week. Oh, yeah, you're right. 2 weeks.
Right.
Oh, my goodness, we had Labor Day.
It's been a while.
Oh, my lordy. Okay, yeah. Time. What is time, really?
You're really just waiting for 15. That's all you care about.
But again, like I think that this series is turning out to be much more competitive and interesting than maybe we would have guessed on the outset, and a lot of that is because FlyQuest is beginning to show up, and in some cases remind us of what made them good as a team in spring. It was their ability to operate within the team fighting phase, committing to a specific play. And in that one replay we just showed, the TP's coming in first for FlyQuest as opposed to Clutch.
I mean, when you have the teams having to prepare beforehand, you're Clutch Gaming. What VODs do you watch and take seriously? Do you really watch the Echo Fox FlyQuest Lounge Cast VOD that we did and be like, oh, this is where we'll figure out what FlyQuest is doing? They have no prep. They have nothing to prepare themselves for what FlyQuest brings out, whereas FlyQuest has 3 best-of-5s to know everything Clutch Gaming is doing, and I think that does a lot to Clutch Gaming's psyche.
And that's where maybe you look at that Morgana ban and say, okay, there's now the Corki that we should be more afraid of potentially for Pobelter.
Yep.
But
Clutch is going to blue side. I'll let you guys know.
Figures would have guessed that's the case. There hasn't really emerged a clear priority pick for the series, I think, right now, where it's like, this is the takeaway on blue side. I think it is much more about the bans, where you're just freeing up opportunities. They now have to ban the Yuumi. You can potentially first pick a Rumble or Kiana if it shows itself.
I mean, so the assumption here now is that Clutch will get one of those 3, unless FlyQuest is so concerned about those 3 that they're willing to leave up.
So, you could always take that risk. You are tied right now.
Akali.
I think you leave up Yuumi. I really think that's the play because it's so not like Clutch Gaming's play style. You're not going to have Vulcan playing a backwards mage, let Cody Sun be aggressive in the laning phase and get a lead this way and kind of bully your way through the bottom lane and try to get a 10-minute swap. That's not Clutch Gaming. You give them Yuumi. Sure, it's a powerful pick, but not their style, and it should not work if you're in FlyQuest.
We'll have to see what FlyQuest themselves decide to leave up here in this 3rd game of the series. They've tied it up, though, and we'll see who can get the upper hand when we return for Game 3.